We're back with WSJ Lunch Break. I'm Wendy Bounds. Time for our mansion segment. Well, chefs, they're getting hot for fire, and more of them are installing high-end hearths at home. What do they look like? What's it going to set you back? We're going to talk right now to Katie McLaughlin. She's one of our reporters for the mansion section out in Los Angeles. And we've also got Frank Prizzinzano. He is a restaurant owner here in New York. He is joining us as well. Thanks to both of you for being here. Katie, let me start with you. Just give us the broad scope of this trend now. Why is this happening? Why are more chefs sort of wanting to put what they do in their restaurant into their own houses?
Well, cooking over live fire is very trendy right now in the restaurant scene. The most expensive restaurant in San Francisco right now, Cezanne, is a restaurant that cooks only over fire. There are restaurants in Texas and New York City where all the food is cooked over wood fire. So chefs really love and appreciate the simplicity and the rusticness and the flavors that wood will give to grilled food, and also kind of the purity of the process. And I think that has really inspired them to do this at home. They only want the finest at home as well.
So Frank, you have done just that in your loft here in Manhattan. Describe what you built. I mean, what I saw in the pictures is bigger than some people's own apartments. It's incredible. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, I had this idea that I wanted to be able to have these very big, elaborate, dinner parties in my house, and I wanted to be able to, to cook unlike anyone else would be able to, obviously. So, and there's nothing quite like fire. I mean, you get smokiness, you get the most amazing broiler in the world. I mean, you can get some really good color on things, and you can make real Florentine steaks, which is something that's really, really a real treat.
And how hot can it get up to? How hot can your oven get up to?
Way into the thousands. I mean, like up to 1,000 degrees, I would say, like 1,100 degrees at least.
Amazing. And Katie, now you talked to a few other chefs across the country. And just very quickly describe what they're doing.
Right, there's a variety of these things. Some are outdoor, kind of the outdoor version of what Frank has. Nancy Silverton, who's a very famous chef in the LA area, has basically it's a fireplace, but instead of facing indoors, it faces outdoors, and she has a rotisserie in there so she can cook in there. Tim Love, who has a restaurant that only cooks over fire, has what he calls planchas. They're these big sheets of carbon steel, and he stacks them on top of one another, and he can build fires above and below, so the food just gets completely roasted in the middle. You have wood-burning pizza ovens. You have rotisseries, Argentine-style grills, where you are basically, instead of grilling over charcoal, you're grilling over wood. There's a whole variety.
Let's talk cost, Frank. Now, what you did in New York, you really didn't spare much expense in doing this. You can do it cheaper, but walk us through on the elaborate level what you spent doing this.
Well, I mean, just buying the actual pieces of brick and stone, it gets very expensive. I mean, that was at least $15,000 just in stone, and then you have to hire someone to put it together. So that's going to be a mason, and he's going to be expensive, especially if he has really good skills. And what I was doing was, creating a pizza oven and an open fire grill together. So they needed to come through the same flue pipe up to the roof. So you also have to worry about draft. Right. So I have very tall buildings next to me, so I had to go higher than those particular buildings. Yeah. So I had to go about 70, 80 feet above my roof just with the flue pipe.
Wow, so your total cost must have been over like $100,000, I would imagine.
It was close to about $125,000.
Amazing. Now, Katie, can people do it at home if they're thinking, look, I want to do what Frank's doing, but I don't quite want to spend that much? Is there a way people can do it cheaper in their own house?
Yes, yeah, you can go in for less than $100,000. Right, I talked to some masons who were quoting me maybe about, this is in California, so prices are going to vary, but about $6,000 for your very basic outdoor standalone fireplace. Whenever you get into to a chimney connected to a building, there's a lot of extra expense. But if it's a standalone, start at $6,000 and then go up depending on what kind of finishes and materials you're going to be using.
All right, and Frank, if you were to give people quickly 2 things you think are best to cook in an oven like you installed, what would it be?
Big pieces of red meat.
That's it.
Amazing. I mean, no, because you're going to get an incredible char. You're going to get an incredible smokiness that you'll be unable to get with any other, with any other cooking appliance.
All right, Frank Prizzinzano, thanks so much for being with us. He's a chef in New York. Katie McLaughlin, she's one of our mansion reporters out in Beverly Hills 90210. Thanks for being with us.